Tip Harris is an entertainer who is most widely known by the name T.I., for which he has won 3 Grammys as a rapper. He's also an actor, a community activist, and now he's trying his hand at stand-up comedy. If you are in Austin on June 29th or 30th, you can actually check him out at Cap City Comedy Club. 2 shows each night. Go to capcitycomedy.com for tickets and more info. Tip, thank you so much for the time. How you doing today?
Man, I'm good. Thank you for the time and attention.
Hey, it's my pleasure. I've been a fan of your work for a long time now, starting with your music career, and that bled over onto the acting side of things. And so when I saw last week that you're going to be coming into Austin to perform stand-up comedy at Cap City Comedy Club, my mind was a little bit blown because I've not only, listened to you make music and express your thoughts and feelings through music and be funny at times, but just in hearing you speaking, I thought to myself, this isn't a one-off here. This is something that could actually work. So I guess the starting point for us today is what made you decide to try your hand at stand-up comedy?
Well, I think I should start with saying I've always been a fan of the craft. Comedy clubs has always been kind of like a date night thing, or just a leisurely hangout. And I became very cool and quite comfortable and casual with a lot of the comedians. And I mean, but to answer your question plainly, it wasn't until a good buddy of mine who's a comedian, his name is K-Dub. He'll also be at Cap City Comedy Club. So I go to support him at an open mic night, right? And when I go there, he and I having a disagreement because the guy on stage is having a horrible go of it. And we can agree that he's having a tough time, but we couldn't quite agree to why. And, finally he turns to me and say, I've been doing this 25 years. When you gonna get on stage? And I was like, whoa, man, just chill out. And I go back to my seat, sit down, have a drink with my wife. And he goes up on the stage, grabs the mic from the comedian and says, coming up on stage, whether he knows it or not, T.I. or something like that. And so, of course I was just gonna shoo it off, but the crowd was, they applauded so loud, I had to go up there. So from the seat to the stage, I thought of my first little bit. And I got up there, got my first laugh, and I just fell in love with it.
Something that entered your blood as soon as you heard that first laugh, it was over with, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a different level of crowd direction. You know what I'm saying? As a performer, you have to interact with the crowd, exchange energy. But on stage when you're doing stand-up, it's instant gratification. You're gonna know right then and there whether or not what you just did worked. You know what I'm saying? And I think, it's just a different level of expression that I fell in love with.
Yeah, that's one thing that I really love about the art form. Like, you're obviously good at making music and films and TV shows, and there is a certain audience interaction that comes into play. But as you just said, It's not so immediate. And it's one thing to be funny. It's another thing to be funny to your friends. It is a completely different beast to be funny to 200 complete strangers and getting them in harmony to laugh at what it is that you're saying.
I found that, it's kind of like therapy. It's kind of like therapy, you know what I mean? It's very peaceful, and it also gives me an opportunity to interact with fans in a different way. Because, with music, as you just mentioned, a song is about how you feel about something at a certain time when you record it. As that song lives on, you may enter other phases of your life where you don't necessarily share those same perspectives. Comedy is about how you feel in real time. You know what I'm saying? So if I go and I perform something like What You Know About That, 24. So these songs were made quite, a few years ago. But the jokes that I'm saying, they kind of relate to my perspective right now in real time. And I think, that engagement, that level of engagement allows for a certain transparency, a certain level of honesty. And quite frankly, I don't think I can get the same fulfilling shock and surprise out of an audience doing music. You know, if I do a song and it's good, they're like, oh, okay, T, I got a good song. But when they see me in a totally different platform and a different level of talent and expression, the shock and the surprise on their face in comedy clubs when they see me coming at and they actually, you know, say, okay, well, he's pretty good. That's a feeling that you can't get, I don't think, in the means of art that I've existed in.
So obviously music can be something that continues to evolve even after you put a track down. Like you can perform it in different ways whenever you're doing so live. But one of the interesting things about stand-up is that a bit is constantly evolving until you feel like you've perfected it.
Right.
That involves like listening to how the crowd is reacting to the way that you're presenting something, or maybe you try a little bit of a different detail one way or another to see to really test to see if one way works better than the other. What are some of the things that you're covering on stage right now with your stand-up material, Tip?
A big part of my performance is kind of expounding on where I am in my life right now. And some of the things that led to me getting to this place of perspective and how they may affect my life. A lot of stories about my kids, stories about my wife, stories about, for instance, so, you know, one of my favorite show since I've been doing stand-up was the Barclays in Brooklyn. I got booed. Not necessarily booed off stage, but booed, you know, I think they were really trying to see if I really wanted it or not, you know what I'm saying? But that level of intensity, you know what I'm saying, it kind of woke something up in me. And I speak about that, you know, and finding the humor in those moments. I think that, you know, that it allows me to kind of reflect and find the lessons in the things that have affected me in my life. And I think the crowd get to experience that with me.
The Barclays Center is a huge venue, especially for somebody who's still finding his footing as a stand-up. Like, did it take you long to win the crowd over that night?
Okay, so this is what happened. So I think I've been doing stand-up now for about 78 weeks.
Okay.
And the Barclays was like week 7.
Oh my gosh.
So I mean, so one of my points of reference is imagine getting booed your first day on the job. You get there, you looking for your office and you boo. I just got here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think those things, you know, they definitely bring light to it. But I feel me in New York, we shared a moment, you know, and I appreciated it.
I know you mentioned Kev Dub's going to be there at Cap City Comedy with you these next couple of nights. Whether from him or somebody else who's in the business, have you received a really good piece of advice from a comic who has made it that has really helped you to better hone your craft?
I think one of the most significant lessons I learned is just to stay on stage.
Yeah.
The only way you're gonna get better at it is to just stay on stage as much time as you can. Get up there and just work your material out and trim the fat, get better. I have a collection of mentors that just kind of wrapped their arms around me ever since I began my journey and made sure that I had all the game I needed. K-Dub is definitely one of them. And the rest of the HaHa Mafia. The HaHa Mafia is a coalition of comedians that we came together, you know, just to kind of move around. And as I began to do comedy, I saw that there was a lot of attention just based off my name. So with that attention, I think, you know, it's most beneficial for me to shine a light on people who I feel like, you know, deserve to be in the forefront, deserve to be acknowledged. So the HaHa Mafia, I put a group of guys and a young lady together, and they touring around comedy clubs in the country with me.
Who all's in the HaHa Mafia? Okay,
well, you had Nav Green, Jay Ski, Ronnie Jordan, Tyler Chronicles, Erica Duchess, and K-Dub. That's the game.
And are they all going to be a part of the show tomorrow and Friday?
No, not all of them. I mean, you know, fortunately and unfortunately, you know, everybody ain't available. You know, people out there moving around doing their own gigs, but
Sure.
you know, we kind of make sure that the host, the opening, and the feature is all members of the HaHa Mafia every time you see Tip Harris perform.
Not to get too stereotypical here and think that all excellent rappers who show a serious depth of character with their lyrics that try their hand at stand-up are in touch with one another, but Freddie Gibbs has been doing the stand-up thing for a couple of years now. He hosts shows here in Austin from time to time. I think he's done some stuff at the Comedy Store as well. Have you talked with Freddie at all about his experience and getting into the stand-up game?
No, I haven't had the opportunity to speak to him about it, but I support it. You know what I mean? If he feel, anytime you feel you can do something, I think the best thing to do is get out there and give it a shot. You know what I'm saying? And I know a lot of other rappers who I feel like would be funny. You know, I feel like they would have a great time and a phenomenal journey. But it's all about how bad they want it, you know what I mean? And what they're gonna do to show it.
Who's a rapper that you think could make it as a stand-up?
Man, to be honest with you, Boosie. Boosie is one. 2 Chainz is another. Let's see here. Dro, my partner Young Dro. He's another one. Right off the top of my head, those are the ones that just jump out at me, you know, right off bat. But I think it's a lot of us, man, because we portray the image of our past for the most part. You know, the world we came from. We're communicating those messages and conveying that energy. But as we evolve, as we grow, as we learn lessons in life, we just, you know, we kind of come to a level of acceptance. Okay, so this is where it was, but this is where it is now. And there's a humor in that dichotomy. So as long as we're able to identify that and express that to the world, I think the familiarity of who we are and what we've gone through, mixed with that perspective, I think it captures the audience in a different way.
That's so beautifully said there, Tip. And you as a parent know that we try to encourage our kids, and I know some of your kids are a little bit more grown now, but we encourage our kids when they're children to try new things and to learn new skills. But that's something that's important to do regardless of your age in life. And I think that's one of the reasons why I've admired watching your career from afar, is because you keep finding ways to challenge yourself. And stand-up is obviously a great example of that. What is something that has surprised you about performing stand-up comedy since getting into it a year and a half ago?
Well, the fact of how, you know, and this is also a part of my bit, I didn't know they wasn't getting paid. You know what I'm saying? I had no idea how low the salary cap was. It's like a huge wealth gap. You know what I'm saying? You got the Dave Chappelle's, Kevin Hart's, Chris Rock's, and then you got the guys who, you know, fighting to get 10 minutes on the stage at a comedy club. Yeah. And that gap, you know what I'm saying, that surprised me more than anything.
Yeah, that's there is a big difference. Now, hopefully you haven't had to do too many open mics in the basements of or anything like that.
It's important to do them. We do them all the time. Okay. Every Wednesday, I have a lounge called the Trap City Cafe in Atlanta. Okay. Every Wednesday, we do an open mic night hosted by K-Dub. And it's important to get up there to just continue to work out your bits, continue to work out your material, continue to work on your connection with your crowd direction and so on and so forth. That's kind of like, okay, so if you're Beyonce, and you have a tour coming up, you're gonna go somewhere, a private rehearsal hall, get your show together, the band get together, the dancers get together, choreography, all that stuff. And it's private until you're ready to present it. But a comedian, if he's getting ready to go on tour, he's gonna work out his material by going to open mic nights, and he's gonna work out. You know, so you working out in front of the crowd, you rehearsing in front of the crowd, and making corrections in real time, day by day, to get to a place where you can present it to the masses. That's an impressive component to me as well.
I love talking to people who have achieved high levels of success, because those people often have advice to impart, because to be successful, it requires you to fail, quite often to fail a lot, and learning lessons in the process. Considering that you've achieved certain heights that other musicians dream of, and other entertainers just in general, and the different ways that you've gotten your name out there, what is one of your greatest failures in life, Tip, and what was the lesson that you learned from that?
I think one of my greatest failures was allowing people, and I've said this several times before, but I think I don't have a more honest and true answer. Allowing people to talk me out of my vision just because they couldn't see it at the time I was seeing it. I give you an example. So on my second album, I had a record, one of my first breakthrough records called Rubber Band Man.
Yep.
And the first thing I thought, of course, was to offer rubber bands commercially. And, I'm thinking, man, nobody's going to pay for a rubber band. And that's what everybody told me. As I shared the idea with people, it was like, man, who's going to pay for a rubber band? Who's going to? Okay. Cut to, you had the Lance Armstrong, the Lance Strong bands that Nike put out, made millions, if not billions off of them. And I allowed people to talk me out of that vision just because they couldn't see it, only to see it executed shortly after by someone else. And I still, and that definitely it taps me on the shoulder from time to time. It reminds me that my vision is my vision for a reason. And that would be my best piece of advice to anybody who asks me. Just trust your vision.
It's important to run stuff by the people that you trust, but ultimately, if you feel strongly enough about something, even if you're the only one in the room, you have to take that into greater consideration than any other opinion, because they may not completely get it.
Yeah, your vision is your vision for a reason.
Yeah.
Everybody has a place and a purpose in life. Everybody, has a function in the ecosystem. Some people's function, it allows them certain visions that other people would not, have available to them, because they're on a different path, a different journey. And I think that acknowledging that, recognizing that, and trusting in that, and doing it fearlessly, to where you can, kind of, move on your own gut instinct, move on your own vision, your own belief, instead of being influenced by the thoughts and opinions of others. I think that's, that's imperative, to find purpose.
So just about everybody has heard the story involving you helping out Scott Stapp in the middle of what was a pretty serious moment for him and attempting to commit suicide. But there's two questions I have based on that. I'm not going to have you tell the story again because you've told it enough, Tip. But did he hit, I forget if it was a spliff or a blunt that you were smoking at the time. Did he end up actually hitting that once you were able to get to him?
I don't think so, man. I don't think he obliged. But we offered it to him because he seemed pretty, had a lot of anxiety. We just wanted to kind of, just kind of calm him down. And he was already kind of hurt pretty bad. And he was trying to continue to jump. And me and my partner, Phil, we kind of talked him out of it and got him some help. And, it's good to see him doing good.
What's your favorite Creed song?
Man, to be honest with you, I cannot tell you. I know him when I hear him, but I don't know him by name.
That's fair. And final question, you've maintained this for a long time now, but Kill the King is supposedly going to be coming out at some point in the next year, and that's going to be it for you musically. Yeah. Is that still the plan? And if so, how is this final album coming along?
Well, I tell you what, the different thing about this is going into knowing that you're making your final album. I'm kind of reflecting and seeing all the things that I haven't said, all the messages I still have to communicate.
Wow.
And I'm just trying to put an exclamation point on my catalog. And after that, of course, I'm gonna still make music. Music, it's not just a business. It's something that I do. It's a part of me. It's a part of my peace of mind. It's a part of my expression and communication. So I'll always do music. Whether I will release music as a solo artist commercially is a different thing altogether. I think that it's a different level of pressure It's a different level of pressure and a different level of expectation that I have of myself in embarking on completing my final album.
I like to think that the name does have to do with your first album. Part of that is killing your own ego. And one great way to kill your own ego is to learn a new skill, but especially to get up on stage to perform stand-up comedy. So congratulations on your career up to this point, man. And best of luck with the stand-up thing. People who are interested can go to capcitycomedy.com. 2 shows on Thursday, 2 shows on Friday night. Tip Harris is going to be there making folks laugh along with K-Dub. Tip, thank you so much for the time today, man. This is a real pleasure.
Man, love and respect, man. Appreciate your time and attention, man. Good talking to you.
Thanks to Gentleman Jesus for the intro and outro music. Hear more of his work at gentlemanjesus.com. And thanks to you for hanging out. For more of the show and to connect on social media, visit booksonpod.com. Talk to you next time on Books on Pod.